What's going on, guys? It's Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today I am really excited because I'm going to be comparing two of my all-time Grail knives, the Koenig Arius and the Custom Knife Factory Evo 1.0. These two knives were the ones that I really tried to go after as Grail knives, and they are two of their, if I have a top 5 knives, these are part of that top 5, probably in the top 3. So these knives, very important to me. I love both of them, but let's compare them and see collectively which one might win. I haven't done this ahead of time or whatever. I just have some categories that we're going to go over and grade as we go along. Now, keep in mind that this is biased because I'm doing it. Not everybody agrees with me on what is a Grail knife to begin with, and ergos and size and all of that stuff, which we're not going to go over really specs or anything. But this is totally just me. And if you disagree with me, that's cool. Put down in the comments what you disagree with, because everybody is different. This is really driving me crazy. Kind of sorted. There we go. So, anyways, our categories. We have 8. We're going to go over materials, ergonomics, carry, fit and finish, action/deployment, cutting, sound is a new one, and value. Sound is something that I've been paying more attention to, and sound really has nothing to do with the knife being a knife, as far as the functionality. But it is something that I actually enjoy if a knife sounds good whenever it deploys. If it's a little bit duller, then I don't like it as much. Doesn't really necessarily mean that I won't keep it around because of that. But it is something that more and more I've noticed, and Kevin, Lefty EDC, and Jake, we've all talked about this on how much we really enjoy a nice sound when a knife deploys. So yes, I've added that to our list of categories, I guess. So let's get started. I'm kind of thinking, not sure if I want to do this way or behind the camera. Let's do it this way. So, the Koenig Arius. First off, I want to point out that this is the Koenig Arius Sprint Run Flipper Delete version. Okay, so this one actually does have a forward finger control, and that's very important, especially in this category. In my preferences of knives, is a forward finger control is almost always going to be better to me than one without it. Okay, so a good generous finger control is definitely something that I like. So this one, full-size custom Knife Factory Evolution 1.0, a rotten design. This one is a Russian company that is, everybody as far as Custom Knife Factory knows that they get them made overseas. They come back and put them together. But I have been so happy with all of my Custom Factory knives. Oh, they really do a good job. And then, of course, the Koenig Arius is all American made. Wonderful company, wonderful story behind the company and the man behind it. So that automatically gives me a little bit of an edge, which is not a category, to the Koenig Arius because it's an all-American made knife, and that's important to me. Obviously, it's not as important. It's not a deal breaker because I have a lot of knives that are made all over the world. So, but the Koenig Arius, if you are wondering, if you don't know, is all-American made, and so that is a thing. So, this knife I purchased first. The first time that I ever handled a Koenig Arius was whenever my good friend and brother Jake, Bearded Gear, sent it to me as a loaner for the channel. That was actually quite a long time ago. He sent it to me and I fell in love with it. It was the regular plain tie version. This one is one that has the micro milling, and it had the flipper, and this one is the flipper delete. But it was so amazing. I've never felt action like that before. And so that became, once that happened, one of my Grails, and I ended up purchasing this one, especially when I found out they had a flipper delete with a finger choil. It was like no brainer for me. Then this came along. This was another Grail, And I had seen it all over Instagram, really didn't know much about Rotten Designs or even Custom Knife Factory back then. And I went to it like, dang, I really, really like that knife, and started looking them up, and I'm like, holy moly, they are expensive. I mean, and so are these. These went crazy on the secondary market, mainly because they are a limited run. This one is number 29, and I believe they only made 300 of these. So that's another thing that I'm kind of getting into as far as the limited edition knives. I don't know. It's just one of my things. But I saw this knife, fell in love, and then I saw that price tag, and I was like, oh man, I don't think I'll ever be able to get something like that. Then my channel grew, my collection grew, my taste kind of evolved, a lot of selling and trading and whatnot, and was able to find one of these. And the story, you know, goes, I actually, if you look at my review of this, I actually found somebody in my home state that had one. And yeah, I paid $950 for this thing. These full-size versions can go anywhere from $1,200, $1,300. It's, you know, it's kind of crazy what these things can go for. Well, it's because they don't make anymore, right? They do have a 2.0 version, which I'm really excited because Kevin Lefty EDC is sending me his 2.0, which is the smaller version of this knife, so we can actually put these two side by side. Really, really excited about that. But anyway, that's kind of where we land as far as how I got them. Let's do the comparison. It's kind of scary. I like these comparisons, but then I hate it because I love both of these knives. And at the end of this, somebody's going to come out a winner, and I don't know who it is. So, all right. So materials. Materials here are almost identical. So on the Koenig Arius, you have full titanium, and you have some micro milling all over this on both sides. So you have titanium scales, titanium hardware, I believe. Is this titanium hardware? On my keys. I'm pretty sure this is titanium hardware. Shit. I don't know where my keys are. I have a magnet on there. But anyways, got a little pop of color there, blue backspacer. And M390 blade steel. M390 blade steel is definitely one of my favorite blade steels, especially for EDC carry. So yeah, you know, premium materials all the way around, and we'll go over the rest of why this is cost so much, because you can get those materials in a knife that doesn't cost this much, right? But materials don't necessarily mean value. We'll go over that later. Now, Custom Knife Factory Evolution. M390 blade steel, titanium, which is milled, kind of like a tree bark color on both sides, titanium pocket clip, steel lock bar insert. So materials, none of them are really topping the other because they're basically the same. So that's going to be a tie. There is no way around it. I don't like doing ties, but it has to be because they're basically the same materials. So that's a tie. Ergos. Now, Ergos is something that, you know, I have a particular style, a particular kind of ergonomic knife that I like. And the Koenig Arius does all of it, okay? So you have a finger tool, check. I love that about this knife. And then the actual profile of this blade, where you have this very generous area here, and then it swells up and then comes back this way. It is absolutely a melt in your hand ergonomics. And everybody will tell you the same thing, basically, as far as the Koenig Arius. In this backed up grip, it's so freaking comfortable. The pocket clip doesn't create any hot spots. It's nice and flat. It's so comfortable. But the fact this sprint run where I can choke up and get behind the blade just as comfortably, this thing is seriously something that I don't want to get out of my pocket to have as a blade for EDC. Now, I don't carry this a whole lot because I have so many knives and I'm always reviewing stuff, so it doesn't get a lot of pocket time, but it gets played with a lot. So ergonomically, this knife is an absolute win, and there is not much that can beat it. You know, I always talk about the ergonomics of the Strider, you know, and how it swells out there, big finger troll. These are also very ergonomic knives for me. And you can see kind of, I mean, it's definitely different, but you can see kind of similarities on why this knife would work like the Strider does. The Evolution. This one is scary for a lot of people. I went over this in my review because, as you can see, it has very defined finger grooves. And some people really don't like that. And I get it, because that can be a problem. If your hand is not the right size, this can be dangerous. So you don't really know. You can't just go to the store and pick one of these up and see if it fits you, right? So in that sense, I was a little bit nervous. However, in this backed up grip where my fingers land, it is made for my hand. I mean, I feel so locked in, so comfortable. The jimping up here is definitely sharper, so you don't have jimping on the Arius, which I kind of like, because, I mean, it just solely locks you in. You don't need it. This is very aggressive. You don't need it because it locks your hand in. However, it would definitely take away from the design of the blade if it wasn't there, so I'm glad it's there, even though it is kind of aggressive. But in the backed up position, feels wonderful and locked in. It's not going anywhere. Probably the most locked in knife that I have as far as the way it feels in my hand. And it's mainly because of those finger grooves, but they fit my fingers in my hand really well. It's kind of wide this way. It's a little bit thicker in the hand, so it feels my big meat hooks very well. Now, choking up, absolutely even better. Even better for my hand size. It is amazing. Now my thumb kind of goes way up here and lands on the blade like this. So the fact that my finger is at an angle is a different kind of angle for me to cut with, right? But this is so comfortable, it really puts it in a place that my hand is meant to cut, okay? So ergonomically, this knife is a win. I'm not gonna do a tie because both of them are a win. I am gonna give it slightly to the Koenig Arius. And the reason being is because it is a more neutral handle where you can really get a lot of good grips with this. And you can't do that with the Evolution. It does fit my hand in the regular way I handle and grab my knives. But this one, it just melts in the hand any way that I put it in. And it's going to be like that for, I think, most people's hand sizes. So the Ergonomics has to go to the Koenig Arius. Oh, and that's tough for me because this really works for me. It's just, I don't think it would work for everybody. So that's why it's going to the Koenig Arius. Carry, next category. So here you go. Here is the pocket clip of the Evolution, right? Very long. I love the way this pocket clip looks. I love the design. And there you go. You have a little bit of ramp, and it's kind of tight in there, but it really does go in and out of pocket very, very well. Does not sit deep carry. You have quite a bit of knife sticking out of your pocket. So for me, I don't care about that at all. Matter of fact, I prefer it sometimes to pull the knife out. So the carry of this knife, as far as the pocket clip is concerned, works really well. I would say amazingly for my preferences. You know, I like a deep carry clip, but for this knife and the aesthetics, the way the pocket clip sits, I'd rather the pocket clip be like this because I like to be able to grab my knives out like that. It is pretty wide this way. So when you're carrying it, you don't have a whole lot of room left in your pocket. For me, I carry only my primary knife in my front right pocket, so that doesn't really bother me. However, when I do have this knife in there, it's quite wide, quite big. I can fit my hand in there, but it is a little bit more cumbersome than some other ones because of the width of the blade. And then, you know, when I'm putting it in my pocket this way, you have a little bit of jimping here. The jimping on the zirconium backspacer. Ooh, I forgot materials. I forgot about zirconium. We might have to slap that tie. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to do the tie for the materials. I'm so stupid. But this is why I do it like this, so I don't have a preconceived conception, right? I am going to give materials-wise to the Evolution because of that zirconium backspacer, which I love. I love zirconium. It is heavy, but it's a very expensive material, but it is so beautiful. And so you have that little bit of pop. So I am going to give the Evolution the materials bracket. So you guys can stop being pissed that I did a tie, right? So anyway, back to carry. So it's wide. It has a little bit of jimping here, but you know, when it's in my pocket, I don't feel that. The jimping on the zirconium backspacer is very smooth. So getting my hand in there is fine. It's just a little bit wider. The Koenig Arius and its pocket clip is also very beautiful and goes with the flow of the knife. And it also does not sit deep carry. You have about that much knife sticking out. A little bit less than the Evo, but I don't mind it, and I have enough room to really grab the knife and come out. Now, the actual way it goes in and out of pocket is also really nice. You have slightly more room on the Koenig Arius than you do on the Evolution, but I'm telling you, just both of them just go in pocket. I'm doing this to kind of help me out here. Both of them just go in pocket really well and almost have the same retention as far as how it feels when it's coming out of your pocket. So pocket clip wise, they are kind of a wash. However, it is much thinner this way, and then kind of just tapers off. So whenever it's down here, it sits the knife a little bit canted to where my hand, I can feel I can get my hand in my pocket if I have something else in there more than this. So pocket clips kind of go in a wash. However, in the pocket, it feels a little bit better with the Koenig Arius. We're going to go ahead and do some weight. I can't remember exactly what the weights are, but that's the thing, right? When you're carrying a knife, how much do you feel it in your pocket? Guys, you know me. I really don't care about the weight in the pocket. I always have very thick pants, a belt, because I'm carrying a bunch of stuff. But 4.75 ounces versus 7.7. So it's basically double the weight on the Evolution. So the fact that I really don't care about the weight, needs to go away for a comparison like this, because I don't mind carrying this. I think it still carries really well, but I have to give the carry for an overall weight relief. The pocket clips are about the same, and the profile of the knife on the way it carries. If I had to carry something every day, if most people had to carry a knife in their pocket every day, it would go to the Koenig Arius. And so we are going to give carry to the Koenig Arius. But I mean, because you guys know, I don't care about carry. So that one's kind of a hard one for me, but the Koenig Arius, I think, is a clear winner there. Fit and finish. So, like I said, these are a Russian company made by an overseas manufacturer come in, and they do finishing on these components. The way that they do it is absolutely second to none. You've got chamfering, you've got rounding all over the blade or the handle scales. The zirconium backspacer is done so very well wherever it has just a little bit of texturing there, but it's not grippy at all. I forgot about the reverse grip. The reverse grip on these are also really, really good. I would probably give a little bit more to the Evolution though. But you've got, chamfering around the hole there for deployment. You've got just the wonderful swedge. I can't really find too many faults on fit and finish on the Rotten Design Custom Knife Factory Evolution. It's just wonderful. The grinds on the blade, I'm putting that as far as fit and finish as well. It's just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I can't really find many faults with the fit and finish of this knife. And it really is the same with the Koenig Arius. Now, the Koenig Arius is 100% made in the USA, so it's hard for me not to love this knife more because of that. Because I'm a patriot and I love supporting my USA makers, so that is a thing. Same deal though, rounding and chamfering all around this guy. See if we can get a good, right there. You have tiny bit of chamfering that makes it, really nice on the hole deployment. Blade grinds, just absolutely stunning. I don't know. I'm going to have to probably give this one a tie. I can't find many faults with the fit and finish. They really just do an excellent job All of these are hand tuned, hand assembled. Both of them are. Yeah. Oh man, I got some ink on me. Yeah, I'm probably, you guys are going to hate it. It's like, you took away one tie. I'm probably going to give this one a tie, though. I can't find any real faults with the fit and finish to make a determination that this one is this way and this one is this way. Now, these are the only knives that I have from, or the only knife I have for the Koenig Arius, and I have had quite a few of the Custom Knife Factory, and they all have been the same. But since I haven't had this, I can't say. Everybody that I know have said the same thing about the Koenig Arius, the Goblin, was it the Goblin? The smaller one? Shit. Now I can't remember. I have no interest in it because it's a little bit smaller. But I just can't. I have to give it a tie. I have to give it a tie. Don't hate me. Action and deployment. This is a very important category for me. As a knife collector, knife enthusiast, action is one of the tops. Materials, whenever I get over a certain price point, are important. But I am not a heavy user of my knives, so it's not as important to me as it is for a lot of people. Action and deployment is right there at the top, because if it doesn't have good action and it doesn't deploy reliably, I'm not going to keep it. So obviously, these two have amazing deployment and action. Here's the major difference with them, though. So on the CKF, Jesus, I did it again. Oh, Lefty's going to give me hell. Custom Knife Factory Evolution, you have a teardrop deployment hole. Very nicely chamfered. The Koenig Arius, you have a very unique shaped deployment hole that is actually pretty thin that way, but it's elongated. So you have a lot of room either up here to grab it, either up here or, anyway, all the way down to here to where position you want to put your finger in. To be honest, I think that the teardrop on the Custom Knife Factory Evolution is more intuitive for me to just pick up the knife, put my finger in there, and go. But it's not. I'm not saying that the Koenig Arius is not that way, because it is. But I think I have a lot more knives with this, and so maybe I'm just used to it. I have a lot more knives with this particular style. A lot of the Fox knives, you have a pill shaped on that one. But on the, where's it at? Have the same kind of shape on the Giant Mouse Ace Grand. And so maybe that's why I think I prefer this, but it feels more intuitive for me to get my finger in there and deploy the knife versus that one, even though they're both amazing. So really that's the whole and its features as far as the deployment. The actual detent. So on the Custom Knife Factory, the detent is just a tad bit stronger than on the Koenig Arius. And with a deployment hole, sometimes lighter detents is what makers want to make it easier to do that. I am more of I want a stronger detent because I want it to be whacking out of there. Something to kind of give you, the Vero Engineering with the, this is the Axon with the V-slot. The action on this is good, but I feel like I am flinging this out, but it's not, whenever I pass the detent, not whipping. It takes all full force of my finger to get it to whip out, and it does it fine. But as you can see, I just kind of slipped off of it, and it just barely popped out. So that's a weak detent on a whole deployment. That's not bad. It's not bad, but weaker. And on the Koenig Arius, it feels amazing. Ugh. I thought I had almost a preconception of how I thought this was going to go. Damn. They're really similar. Now you've got a heavier blade on the Custom Knife Factory Evolution. Yeah. The detents are pretty similar. So as far as deployment goes, I like the hole better on the Custom Knife Factory than I do the Koenig Arius, even though both of them work amazing, but I've got to do something with comparison, right? The detents are pretty close. So I'm going to have to, on deployment, this is one category though, deployment in action. If I was going to say that one the deployment part, it would probably be the Custom Knife Factory Evolution, just because of where that hole is, and the detents are about the same, so that's really the only thing I can say that might give it a little bit of an edge. But the other part of this same category is action. So deployment is one part of the action, right? And then the closing is the other. These are two totally. Both of them very, very smooth, running on bearings. No lock stick, no lockup issues. They're both, solid as a bank vault. So I gotta, but here's the difference between them. This is a fall shut, absolutely just no resistance. It's coming down, and that's it. On the Koenig Arius, it's a fall shut but controlled. And this is really personal preference as far as what you like. Some people just like the guillotine. Some people like them more controlled. I like them both. But if I had to pick which one I think I like playing with more, it's going to be the Koenig Arius. I love the fact, and people are probably going to be like, what, you really love fall shut? And I really do love fall shut. I mean, this is absolutely resistantless of a action. But as you can see on the Koenig Arius, it's just a controlled hydraulic close. And I gotta admit, I think I like that kind of action better. I think I'll probably do a action video and use a bunch of different knives about the different ways you have on knife action and the way things are put together. And that really surprised me because this one is so much fun just to do that. I mean, it is. But I really do believe that the Koenig Arius and the way that their action is dialed in to be still fall shut, but yet controlled and so smooth, you can't really beat it. This is probably the best action on a knife that I've ever felt as far as all around. It just is. It just is. So, deployment, the God bless, the Custom Knife Factory is just a tad bit better, but they're really too close for that. But I have to give it to the Koenig Arius on the overall action and deployment, just because of this wonderful fall shut yet controlled action. I have to give it to the Koenig Arius. Oh, this is harder than I thought. Cutting. Both of these knives cut amazing. I love them. I love them. I love them both. The Custom Knife Factory Evolution has a wicked looking blade. Look at this. Absolutely stunning. It is different. It is just so freaking, it looks like a dinosaur, like Kevin from Lefty EDC talks about. Looks kind of like a dinosaur. Didn't see it until he said it. Now I can't stop seeing it. But the blades themselves, we're talking about cutting, the blade geometry, an absolutely sick hollow grind on this bad boy. It is sick. It is thin. And it cuts amazingly. Now, it depends on what kind of cutting you're doing, right? All right, let's just go ahead and do this because I didn't write it down. So in my full review, I have the thickness behind the edge, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it behind here in a couple spots. 16, 17 thousandths behind the edge with a full stock thickness of 198 thousandths. So super thin, yet a beefy blade that instills confidence. But on things like cardboard, it cuts through it, but it, with the hollow grind, it's a little thicker. You get more resistance when you're coming through. With those kind of tasks, everything else, it's a slicer. It really does slice well. And John Sorensen, the guy who designed this knife, is known for his grinds, and it had to be right. Whenever this knife was produced by Custom Knife Factory, it had to be right, and it was. I absolutely love this blade shape. I love the blade geometry, and it cuts well. What about the Koenig Arius? Well, the Koenig Arius, you got your typical drop point, but also has an amazing hollow grind on this guy. Now, thickness behind the edge is a little thicker. So it's about 20 thousandths behind the edge on this hollow grind versus the other one. So slicing wise, it still performs very well. This one does perform better on like cardboard. But as far as, you know, because of the thinness here, it gets a little hung up on the fuller groove right here where the thing is. It gets a little hung up there. But I would say they cut almost exactly the same. It's just a tad bit thinner behind the edge with this hollow grind. This hollow grind is more of a shallow hollow grind versus this one's more of a deep hollow grind. And that really is personal preference. You've got a really nice finish on this blade too. Maybe if it'll show you. Which is a stone wash and satin on the flats. Come on, you bastard. There we go. Really nice stone wash and satin on that. Love the swedge. I love this blade shape. It's actually... Let's just cut some cardboard because that's one of the main things, right? Let's cut some cardboard and see what feels better. They really do feel about the same, guys, even though the Custom Knife Factory is thicker. God, this is a tough one. This is a tough one, guys. The cutting ability of both of these knives is just as good, if not better, than probably anything else you've ever put in your hand. When you're talking about this kind of blade stock thickness, I mean, obviously you've got, you know, the Atom and stuff, which is really thin blade, cuts through things like a laser beam. But the performance of both of these blades and grinds are absolutely amazing. And I can't really put my finger on which one would be better. Oh, man. I forgot a category. We're going to go over aesthetics. I don't know why I forgot about that. And now I'm stalling because I don't want to make this decision. Oh. This is a tough one. Man, it's just, they both have strengths and faults, right? But they both cut amazingly. I don't want to give a tie to this, though. I'm going to give it to the Arius. Even though it's thicker behind the edge geometry as a whole, with the blade shape being able to do a little bit better of puncturing. I mean, you've got a tip here, but you get a lot of belly and some flat. So blade geometry, I think, is a little bit better on the Koenig Arius as far as the overall blade shape and grind, even though it's so fucking close. This one cuts like a dream, but I guess I am going to have to give it to the deadgum Arius. I just hate making decisions, but I got to. So I'm going to go over aesthetics right now because I totally forgot about that. What the fuck? I'm so stupid. Aesthetically, both of these knives are absolutely gorgeous, and I'm sure you would agree. Both of these knives, as far as design, is fucking killer. But this one's a little bit more easy for me because I like the different stuff. This is a very attractive knife. The design is absolutely wonderful. Execution and everything is stellar. But this is a very different looking knife. It is a very Kyle style knife. And aesthetically, I like looking at this one a lot more. Even though both of them are great. I actually, you know, when I pull this out and I look at it and I'm playing with it, it just is something that makes me so happy. So aesthetically, I am going to give it to the Custom Knife Factory Evolution 1.0. A lot of people might disagree with me because this is textbook beauty as far as a knife. I get it. But as far as me personally, I have to give the aesthetics, which is an opinion, right? Everybody has one. I have to give it to the Evolution because, yes, it just looks fucking badass, which is what drew me to it. And I didn't even know at the time how well these were made. All right, so sound. I'm doing sound now. Sound is actually a part of a knife for me now. I love when I'm opening and closing a knife, the way it sounds. I'm just like, ooh, I get shivers, right? So let's just, you might hear a lawnmower in the background. If you do, apologize. See if you can hear. This is the Custom Knife Factory. Very swoopy and clicks into place. Oh, sounds amazing. And on the close, there's no resistance. It just has the click. The Koenig Arius, it's better. They both sound good. Excuse me. But I don't know if you can pick this up. It's more mechanical sounding on the Arius. Just the and click. Oh, so I didn't do this again. It's just a little bit more muted on the Custom Knife Factory, and they both have, you know, very extensive milling, which the Koenig Arius was very known for, the extensive milling on the inside. And I don't know really what the difference is. However, the Koenig Arius does have it as a win as far as sound. It just sounds more mechanical, more clicky than the Custom Knife Factory. Even though the Custom Knife Factory sounds good, it's just a little bit more muted. And so sound goes to the Koenig Arius. Value. Value is also relative, right? It's really what you like. Especially when you're talking about knives like this. I mean, these are expensive knives. I don't even really know what the Custom Knife Factory Evolution 1.0 was right out of the box. I'm assuming it's close. It was close to $700. This particular Sprint Run Arius with a milling was around the same, $650, $700. But, you know, these are kind of hard to get a hold of, but I'm pretty sure the value on this as of right now is around $700. The Evolution, because it is, you know, a limited run, has gone up. I mean, I paid $950 for this, and they go for a lot more than that on the secondary market. So value as of right now, you know, bang for your buck, you're definitely looking at the Arius. But table price, if they're around $700 a piece, brand new, the value wise is hard. It kind of goes back to a little bit onto the materials. The zirconium adds value to me because I like zirconium, and it does add cost to the knife. But if they're around the same price, aesthetics is also one that really, you know, if you're just looking at a knife to buy, it has to grab you, right? It has to do that. So value-wise is also, you know, which one stands out more? The Custom Knife Factory one stands out for me. So value-wise, I got to think about this differently than people are probably like, obvious choice, Kyle, obvious choice. I think value-wise, the Koenig Arius is a better choice as far as value. That's really hard for me to say because it really is objective. But I'm sitting here, I'm thinking all American-made knife with the premium materials that you get, the absolute excellent fit and finish, and the excellent action, just a second to none beautiful piece. I think you're getting more for your money, and especially when you're putting your money into an American company. Value to me is the Koenig Arius. Golly, holy shit. All right, so that's it. That's all the categories. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at my paper, and I really did not think this would ever happen. Because really, as of right now, this knife, I've said, is my absolute favorite knife. It's my Grail knife, my second Grail that I actually purchased that was after this one. And it's my favorite. It's my favorite. There's something about this that I love. But this knife, compared to the Arius, when we broke it down, lost. And it lost big. Jesus, I fucking can't believe it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories the Arius won, 2 that the Evo won, and 1 tie. That's really kind of amazing to me because of how much I love this knife. It's interesting when you sit down to compare knives, what happens, right? It's really weird because I love these both about the same. Some I like more than others on, you know, separate features. But I love these knives almost the same. These are in my top 3, probably position 1 and 2 in my all-time greatest knives in my collection, right? It's amazing how much of a difference when you put it down on paper it comes out to be. So there we go. The clear winner on this comparison is the Koenig Arius. I didn't think it was going to be that clear, and I honestly thought that this was going to win, to be honest with you. So I've got some reflection to do. Like this really hurts me almost, but it's a well-deserved win for this beautiful 100% American-made piece of art. In the community, if you haven't been in the community for a while, you will hear about the Koenig Arius. You'll hear about this one, but you'll hear about the Koenig Arius, about how wonderful of a knife it is and why it is so many people's grail knife. And well, there you go. That's why. Everything that we went over. It's just an all-around wonderful knife and almost perfect in every way. So guys, I thank you for, if you're still here listening to me kind of blah, I really appreciate it. This is always hard for me to do, but it's always fun to do comparisons on these kind of knives. And it's just, it really surprised me how this turned out. So anyways, both great knives, both recommendable knives. If you have the opportunity to buy either one, do it. If you're going to afford it, do it. If you're going to afford to have both, definitely do it. Guys, I love you all. Stay safe in this crazy world we're living in, and we will see you in the next one.